Hey, how have your dreams been recently? Good or bad? Want a few more? Nice. Here are 19 reasons to read Nightmares and Dreamscapes. Hey everyone, welcome back to my channel. I'm Dave Musson, at Dave Musson on Instagram, and this is the place where I'm going through the entire works of Stephen King in chronological order and giving you 19 reasons to read every single one of them. If that sounds like something you would like more of, then go and explore the rest of my channel and maybe even consider subscribing so you don't miss any videos in the future. There's also a few specials for you to check out, top 10s, some guide to the Dark Tower, some rankings for the different decades. There's stuff, okay? If you want to kill some time, my channel is the place to be. Unless you don't like Stephen King, and then why the fuck are you even watching this? So for this video we reached 1993 and Nightmares and Dreamscapes, which is King's third collection of short stories. Now what I'm going to do with this one, as I did with the videos for Night Shift and for Skeleton Crew, is instead of giving you 19 reasons to read this book, I'm going to give you 9 general reasons to check it out, and then I'm going to count down my top 10 personal favourite stories in this collection. So don't forget to let me know your favourites from this one in the comments below. So let's not waste any more time, and for once I don't think there are actually any spoilers in this one. If there are, my bad completely. But let's jump into 9 reasons and my top 10 stories from Nightmares and Dreamscapes. Now this collection is, as you can see, a bit of a beast. 24 pieces within it, 22 short stories, 1 poem and 1 non-fiction piece, and a real smorgasbord of topics to tackle. We've got rock and roll, we've got freakishly long digits, we've got seamen, we've got angry toads. It's all there. This collection is also, well, a bit hit and miss. King himself in the intro calls it an uneven Aladdin's cave, and uneven is a pretty fair word to use on this. It certainly doesn't feel as lovingly put together as Night Shift and Skeleton Crew. In fact, it feels a little bit like King taking the opportunity to just clear out his drawers of any remaining short stories that he wanted to publish. That being said, when it's good, it is still pretty fucking good. So the pieces in this one cover a pretty wide range of dates as well. The earliest, Brooklyn August, was first published in 1971, while You Know They've Got a Hell of a Band and Chattery Teeth were first published in 1992. This also contains 4 previously unpublished stories: The 10 O'Clock People, Sorry Right Number, The House on Maple Street, and The Beggar and the Diamond. So King says in the intro to this one that with this book being published, all of his good short stories are now officially published and out there. I suppose it depends on your definition of good, but it means this one is a kind of a line in the sand for his shorter works. All of the subsequent shorter story collections have stuff that had been written since this one came out. It's kind of like King had finally got all of his old demos and EPs out there and was ready to do new stuff from here on in. As is often the way with King's shorter works, Nightmares and Dreamscapes has spawned a bunch of adaptations. Let me take you through them. We've got The Night Flyer and Dolan's Cadillac, both turned into not so great movies. We've got Chattery Teeth, which was part of Quicksilver Highway. We've got The Moving Finger, which was turned into a quite hilarious episode of the TV show Monsters, and Sorry Right Number actually started life as a screenplay for an episode of Tales from the Dark Side. Not only that, there was an anthology series in 2006 called Nightmares and Dreamscapes that featured a few of the stories from this collection. There were 8 episodes and 5 of them come from this book. So I mentioned a non-fiction piece. That one is called Head Down, and it's something that King penned for the New Yorker magazine. It's a piece following his son Owen's Little League baseball team in the 1990 season. Now, I can't decide whether it's just because I do not give a shit about baseball that I don't like it, or maybe it's just not very good. I'm sure if you like baseball you'll like it, but it doesn't feel like it has the same level of charm that King normally has when he's doing his non-fiction stuff, or even when he's doing his introductions to his books. I'm on the fence. Maybe if I liked baseball more, I would appreciate it more, but as it is, I find it a bit of a slog to get through. Now you'll probably be thinking, you mentioned semen in your first point. That story is Dedication, a weird, jizzed up story about a black hotel worker who, well, cleans off spunk from sheets using her tongue. Now, all of the spunky spunk aside, this is actually an example of King writing a black character really well for a change, making a really well-rounded black character who doesn't resort to cliches and also happens to be a woman as well. Amazing, he can do it. He really can, folks. So another story here, My Pretty Pony, was actually first released as a super limited edition hardback coffee table book in 1989. There are only 250 copies released. It was this big fancy book with a digital clock actually embedded into the cover of it. Now that story, believe it or not, began life as part of a Bachman book, which is kind of a bit strange, but also when you read it, you'll probably understand why. It's also a quite cute metaphor about the passing of time. Go figure. As is the way with King, this one sold pretty well. 1.3 million copies in hardback, 2.6 million copies in paperback. Although, as King himself acknowledges in the intro, there are plenty of people out there who just say that King could publish his laundry list and people would buy it. And, well, yeah, he's right. I mean, I'd buy that, wouldn't you? Okay, there's 9 reasons to read this one. Now I'm going to count down my personal 10 favourite stories in Nightmares and Dreamscapes. Let's go. At 10, The House on Maple Street. This one has major Bradbury vibes, but was actually inspired by a drawing. Now, that drawing was included in the children's book The Mysteries of Harris Burdick by Chris Van Allsburg. It's about a house that kind of turns into a rocket, and there's also an evil stepdad, and it's really fun. At 9, The Moving Finger, the story of a man doing battle with a quite unfathomably long digit poking out of his bathroom sink. It's silly and it's great. At 8, You Know They've Got a Hell of a Band. This is the tale of a married couple taking a road trip through Oregon when they stumble across the town Rock and Roll Heaven. And suddenly everyone starts being familiar. Elvis is the mayor, Janis Joplin works in the diner, Otis Redding is on the police force, and of course, they've got a band. At 7, Omnis Last Case, a quite interesting and clever story that starts off as this 30s hard-boiled crime thing, but then turns into a weird Stephen King thing that actually lands really effectively. At 6, The Doctor's Case, which is basically Sherlock Holmes fanfic. Now this was a piece that was first published for a book called The New Adventures of Sherlock Holmes, which came out in 1987 and saw lots of contemporary authors having a go at writing a new Sherlock Holmes story. This is King's contribution, and he wrote a story narrated by Dr. Watson. Now it stands out because, as it turns out, Stephen King can do a damn fine Sir Arthur Conan Doyle pastiche. Who would have thought? At 5, Rainy Season. So we have a young couple who have tried to rent a place in the town of Willow, Maine. Now the locals try to encourage them to go and stay somewhere else, although they don't encourage them that strongly. The young couple refuse those suggestions, which of course turns out to be a big mistake because, well, murderous toads. At 4, Popsy, the better of the 2 vampire stories in this one, and a tale about a perverted kidnapper who very much takes the wrong child. At 3, The End of the Whole Mess, which when it comes to the quality of writing is probably the best one in this collection. It's a really well done end of the world story about 2 brothers, one of whom is so smart and intelligent that he invents something that he'd hoped would be for the good of mankind, and it accidentally basically wipes out the entire population. We get the story from his brother as he edges closer to death. It is really well done. At 2 in my personal ranking is Suffer the Little Children. Now you may remember if you've watched my Night Shift video that this story was something that King had hoped would be in Night Shift, but his editor convinced him to put grey matter in instead. Now I love Suffer the Little Children, and well, it's absolutely fucking hilarious as well as pretty scary. Let me tell you this, once you've read this one, you won't look at nursery kids or teachers in quite the same way again. My personal favourite story in Nightmares and Dreamscapes, in at number 1, is Chattery Teeth. Now despite it being one of the more stupid ones here, I just love it. It stuck with me from the first read and it worked again on reread. Basically, a travelling salesman buys a novelty pair of giant chattering teeth that are made of metal and carries on his way. Then when he picks up a hitchhiker and things start getting a bit tricky, well, those teeth, they have a say. There we go, a bunch of reasons for you to read Nightmares and Dreamscapes and my personal top 10 from this collection. Do let me know your favourite stories from this book in the comments below. If you enjoyed this video and you're not already subscribed to my channel, please do consider doing so. You won't miss any future ones and you'll be part of this lovely little community. I'm always happy to hear from you. Let me know what you think in the comments, or if you want to come and say hi on Instagram, I'm at Dave Musson. My DMs are always open. Feel free to drop me some suggestions there. There's also plenty more on my channel for you to check out. We've done all of the books up to and including this one, and there's a few specials as well, as I said at the start. So if you're looking for 10 minutes to kill by watching something about Stephen King by some guy in England who swears too much, hey, go and fucking knock yourself out. Thanks for watching, and do come back soon, because next time we're going into a book that is a Dark Tower book in all but name.